Bari, one of the easier of the boss rush bosses. We'll be going over her today. Hell yeah! All the mechanics, animations, and maybe some tips and tricks along the way. What up, what up? I am, and today we're going to be breaking apart Bari and everything about her. We're going to help you get that boss down, no worries. Like all the other bosses, she has her normal basic attacks that do some damage and can be forward guarded and super armored. They won't one-shot you, but they do some decent damage. She also has burst attacks which do hella damage and sometimes come out of nowhere. She actually has like a couple of residual ones as well that kind of lurk about the arena that we'll be talking about. And of course, certain mechanics that'll be happening throughout the fight, and sometimes a combination of burst attacks, depending on the threshold. Basic attacks don't really need much of an explanation, but let's go over all her burst ones. You will notice right off the bat, the wraiths that spawn in, we're going to do damage, a lot of burst damage, and they also do CCs. Be hella careful, because he's going to constantly resummon them throughout the whole fight. Next, we have the God General, because here he comes, she says. She will summon a mob above her dome to do an AoE on top of you. This can easily be frontal guarded and also super armor traded. It will do a bit of damage even in C7, but you should be alright. Next we have a burst ability along with a mechanic all in one. There'll be no place in the forest where my curse will not reach. Oh really? When she says this, get out of the massive AoE because it does a bit of damage, and then go to the corrupted tree in the back. You have to chunk it down a bit and this will stun her. Basically a free DPS window, so make sure to do it as quickly as possible because it is timed. A little bit of a tip for you: if you actually go to the sides of the tree, they count as back attacks and you'll do a lot more damage. Usually right after, when she's around 70%, she will actually tell the God General that you've been dealing with this whole time to protect the tree. You will periodically throw out AoEs from the tree in a cone shape. It does quite a bit of damage. Try to frontal it if you can, or PvE iframe. You use super armor, you're gonna get chunked a bit. One thing to really look out for that I haven't seen in a lot of guides that explain Bari is her maracas. Or whatever they are, the musical things she's like shifting around in her hands. If you ever see her solo just standing there shaking them, be careful when you hit her. Actually, I'd recommend not initially. Came across this multiple times where she'll actually CC me out of super armors and frontals, and she send down like this huge thing of lightning. And it would literally like near one-shot me if I couldn't get out of it in time. In fact, most of the time it did. The maracas were yellow every time she does it, which also imitates when she does certain animations, unfortunately. I have no idea if it's some sort of mechanic, protection thing. I have no clue, but just be careful. At first, I thought it was something to do with her clones, but I'm actually not sure, which I'll be explaining later. Get to clear out them wraiths when you can, do frontal damage and super armor trades so you don't get CC'd. You'll notice from time to time she's going to send all these red sparks in the air like a little shit. Not gonna lie, they actually do hella damage. You have to keep on the move. They're essentially her own personal snipers. They shoot at different intervals, and you want to make sure to avoid them as much as possible. Don't get CC'd, or else they're gonna two-tap you. Next, we have a rippling AoE of damage circles. Whatever, I don't know what you want to call it. Landmines? Landmines. She'll throw out a bunch of circles and a huge AoE from time to time. Make sure to PvE iframe them. Now, there are a few other burst mechanics that actually involve summoning bosses. That's right, Bari will summon them, imagine. She will say certain lines, and then you'll know what boss is being spawned. Each of them do different attacks, which I will explain now. The Rage of Duoxini is simply Duoxini will spawn, and then he's going to do a good-sized AoE around her, so be careful not to be sitting in it. Next, when you see you'll soon be torn apart by my teeth, is actually Sangoon speaking. At least I think. That makes more sense in my mind. Sangoon will spawn, and you'll see a huge red area. Get out of it. The best spot is usually behind the tree on the other side. If it hits you, you're pretty much dead. Gumiho will also be spawned once in a while, and she will do the ranged fire breath attack. It will literally one-shot you. Now that we know all the burst attacks, let's go on to the actual mechanics. Bari isn't overly difficult. I found that being patient is actually really good here. At the beginning, you can actually avoid some wraith damage if you do a super armor skill at a specific timing. First phase is not too bad, pretty chill. You just have to avoid her AoEs and damage while also avoiding the general that she summons periodically. She will do the forest reach thing throughout the whole fight, so make sure to go and hit the tree when that happens. Also be wary of the general when he starts protecting the tree for those AoEs that are going to be flying at you all the time. Well, not all the time, but once in a while. That usually happens around 80% health. Easy into phase 2. When she gets below 70%, she's going to do a massive AoE explosion that'll actually have a knockback. She'll now do this periodically throughout the whole fight. She'll do the animation when she says, "Rise against my vial." I usually only see it a couple times. She'll become immune to damage for a few seconds, so just avoid the mobs and don't die. Also around this time, you'll start to see clones. She will spawn multiple versions of herself in different parts of the arena. How do you identify the real one? Well, that's actually hella easy. She'll actually have an HP bar and you'll do damage to her, and the others you will not see anything. You'll also start to see all those bunch of little AoEs coming around. Just simply avoid them or iframe them. You can also forward guard them from the direction they are coming. Make sure to keep your eye on that reach mechanic. It will still happen. Go hit that tree. Also, those red sparkling snipers in the air, well, they're going to start to spawn as well. When you get her around 50% is when she'll start doing all the boss spawns. She will mention Oduxini being in her teeth for Sangoon, and also playing tag for Gumiho. Keep doing damage until you get to the last phase at 33-ish%. She will call upon her mother, asking her to save her. At this point, run behind the tree immediately on the opposite side. This is the safest thing you could do, but you could also iframe, but I don't recommend. Animations do last quite a while. She's going to summon all 3 bosses and do a massive wide AoE in the middle of the arena. The safest spot, as you guessed it, behind that tree. She will be immune during all this, so it's not like you could do damage anyway. Wait a little bit and all the bosses will disappear. This is the final stretch, no more mechanics that are different, and all you have to do is DPS and avoid damage. Congrats on taking down Bari. Let's go. My damage was a little higher in this because this was only actually C6, but I did the C7 as showing here. I just forgot to record it, imagine. But all the mechanics are the same. And that is it for this quick guide. Don't forget to like if this video helped, comment if you have any questions or concerns, and subscribe to the channel for all the future things. Thank you all for watching, I hella appreciate it, and I will see you all in the next video. Crimson out.